This recent photo of Ciryl Gane has UFC fans speculating that he might be dealing with a serious right hand injury heading into his heavyweight title showdown against Jon Jones. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and if you're new here and enjoy learning about the underlying anatomy and mechanisms of different sports injury topics, then please consider subscribing to support the channel and stay up to date with all my future videos. This photo from UFC 285 Media Day understandably has people concerned about what in the world could be going on with Ciryl Gane's right hand. Of course, we can see here there's evidence of a scar on the backside of his right hand, but more importantly, there looks to be some swelling that we're seeing right around the area of that scar. People, of course, are now wondering, could this mean he's got a fracture or some new injury heading into a showdown with Jon Jones? Importantly, this does not look like it's been photoshopped. So this is Gane during his sit-down interview with Daniel Cormier. And you can see here in this sit-down recently, he still has that little area of swelling on the backside of his right hand. So you're obviously not going to Photoshop this video as well. And then here during the press conference, we can again see that there still is this small little area of swelling on the backside of Gane's hand. So it's real. This isn't Photoshop. He really does have this scar and this small area of swelling on the backside of his hand. But I would not at all be concerned that this is a new injury. Rather, this to me all looks like stuff that we could expect to see based on his recent history of a very publicly known surgery to his right third metacarpal. After his last fight against Tuivasa, Gane suffered a fracture to his third metacarpal. And he talked about this just after coming out of surgery on Ariel Helwani's show.
The metacarp, I don't know exactly the good word in English, but the number 3 is broken. So I fixed it. I had a surgery.
Looking at the bones of the hand in our biodigital anatomy tool, the metacarpals are basically the bones that sit in sort of the palm of the hand. So on the back side of the hand, the bones running in this little span here are going to be our metacarpals. The thumb is the first metacarpal, then second is the index finger, the middle finger or long finger is the third metacarpal, fourth is the ring finger, and then fifth is the pinky finger. If you've ever heard about somebody suffering a boxer fracture, that's going to be specifically a fracture of the neck of this fifth metacarpal. So the neck is right at the end of the bone. The metacarpal head is going to be the region of the metacarpal up where it joins to the finger joints, kind of right in here. The metacarpal neck is going to be right where that head starts to meet up with the shaft. Of course, the shaft is going to be the long portion of the bone, and then the base of the metacarpal is going to be down here near the joint with the bones of the carpus. So Gane had a fracture of this metacarpal bone right here, and it was significant enough that it required surgery. The criteria to operate on a metacarpal fracture actually depends on which metacarpal we're talking about. The factors that we look at are going to be, number 1, the angulation of sort of the head neck if it's a fracture up at the neck. So basically how far bent are those two pieces of the bone. If it's in the shaft, we'll look at the angulation of this part of the shaft compared to the lower portion. And then we also look at how much the bones are overlapping. As we work our way from the radial or the thumb side of the hand out to the pinky or the fifth metacarpal, we actually tolerate more significant angulation at the neck and the shaft before we say that something needs an operation. Obviously, with Gane's injury, it was one that required an operation. And this operation might have been just putting some pins in, or it might have been putting an actual plate of hardware across the backside of his hand. So the number one thing to bust any concerns here about a big new injury is that this location where we see the scar and we see that little area of some swelling is right at his third metacarpal. So this knuckle is going to be the second metacarpal. This is going to be the third, fourth, and fifth. So that area of swelling is right where we would expect it to be located based on somebody who's had a fracture and then a surgery in that area. Remember that after a surgery, you're going to have some scar tissue formation that can possibly build up. And in particular, individuals with darker skin color are at more risk of something we call keloids, which are basically more prominent scar tissue formation at the site of some injury or some surgery. So after surgery, you can simply just have some scar tissue formation. Sometimes you might get a small little fluid collection in that area, something like a seroma. And you can also get different ganglion cysts that form around that site or potentially off of some of the tendons in the area. So there's a lot of very benign, very normal expected things that this would most likely be because of how it corresponds so directly with the site of Gane's surgery. The only other anatomical structure we really have on the backside of the hand are going to be the extensor tendons. So the tendons that are responsible for straightening our fingers out those run along the backside of the hand along those metacarpal bones. But other than that, the skin is extremely thin in this area. So any potential hardware that's under there, anything like maybe a screw that was used to put that hardware in, or even the slightest bit of scar tissue is going to look a lot more pronounced on the backside of the hand compared to where it might on the knee or the shoulder, somewhere there's a lot more muscle and soft tissue on top of the hardware, on top of the fracture beneath the skin. So bottom line, this is nothing I'd be concerned about as a new injury because things line up very well with the site of Gane's very publicly known third metacarpal fracture. And it's always possible guys are coming into fights with injuries we don't hear about, but this is nothing that would make me say he has like a crushed hand or his hand is going to be extremely compromised during his fight against Jon Jones. That's it for the video, everybody. Let me know as always any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.